So here's my question. How many leads are you buying a week?
I mean, I do like, if this depends on how old they are, but lately I've been doing the age mortgage protection. I've been trying to run as many mortgage protection leads as possible. So I'll do like 100, a dial session.
A dial session?
Yeah, not have any less than 100 dial session.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, good. So how many appointments do you have booked going in for the next 2 days?
My goal is always to have no less than 15.
Okay.
If it's mortgage.
Are you averaging that?
Yeah, I would say pretty much, yeah.
Because I know sometimes we can
Yeah.
be a little less. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sometimes a little less.
Are you wanting just help in general?
I need help in-home.
You want the in-home.
Mortgage,
But
yeah,
because of
yeah.
like this
Yeah.
particular weekend you struggled, or like in general, like you need to get better in-home mortgage?
Yeah, I have specific questions. If there's someone, you know, I can talk to
No,
you.
no.
That'll be better.
He does mortgage almost exclusively.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I have specific questions about.
I do
getting
some
in.
CRM on top of it because all of
Awesome.
sometimes right now mortgage protection have been a little slow coming in on lockdown counties, but it's this time of the year. So you have to be diversified.
Yeah.
You have to have the CRM leads, the instant internet leads, the new internet leads, the aged internet lead. All those help out. So what question do you have in home?
All right. So the question that I have is, how do you build the value when you're sitting with the unhealthy / older clients who really just wants to make sure that it's usually, you know, a him wants to make sure that his home is paid off, or, you know, that the spouse's home is paid off in the event that they were to pass away, and they can't because it's going to be like $600-700 a month, the stacked policies.
Right.
They can't qualify for, you know, a bigger policy. So what questions do you ask to build the value? How do you approach it so that they're already going in that direction?
I start that in the very beginning. I start when I put their name down on the client worksheet, their ages. I ask how much income, Social Security, pension, retirement, whatever they have. I need to know that right there so I can help out. Then I know what maybe Mr. Jones has and Mrs. Jones have, and then I look at the actual mortgage. And then when I look at that payment and I see Mrs. Jones, there's absolutely no way she can make the payment after he passes, then I circle it. And I circle hers. I said, there's absolutely no way within your budget that she's going to be able to stay here. So I have this question I ask them. Do you know if your Social Security is set up, would it go to Mrs. Jones? And a lot of times they don't know that answer. And because a lot of times they just set their Social Security up, but they don't know. So I asked them, I said, one of the things I want you to do, you need to find out. Now, if they say, yeah, she'll get 50% of my Social Security, all right, still the budget doesn't add up, all right? So I look at Mrs. Jones and very simple question, what are you going to do after Mr. Jones passes? And I shut up. I don't say a word. Do not say one word after that. And I want a direct answer. And if they start laughing about it, I'm not laughing. Because I say, listen, guys, I'm taking my job very seriously because this is serious. Because you could be gone tomorrow. We could be facing this scenario tomorrow. And I mean, if they're like 60s or 70s, is that age group you're talking about?
Yeah, or the younger client who just has cirrhosis of the liver or something.
Got
you
it.
know,
Got
like
it.
someone that's 40 years old and their liver is shot or
So,
something. Yeah.
of course, the value of it is I'm trying to get Mrs. Jones to basically say, there is absolutely no way I can stay here. I'm like, perfect. So, and I had this very scenario just the other day, and when I brought this across to her, she finally came out and said, I wouldn't stay here. I can't take care of this house. This is a 3,000 square foot house. I'm older. I've got this farm or I've got all this land. I can't take care of this. I need to get something smaller. I'm like, all right, so why don't we work on buying time instead of worrying about trying to help pay off the mortgage? So usually when you're dealing with an older couple, I would say a high percentage, they've got $50,000 to $100,000 in equity in their house. That is usually the probability. So I asked Mrs. Jones, do you want to keep $100,000 that's already in your house, or do you want to give it back to the bank?
Duh.
I already knew the answer. I'm asking a question that I already know. So when you're asking questions, make sure you already know the answer and ask the right questions. That question is, look how much money you've got in this house. Do you want to lose this? And I'll say, no. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to set up, because financially in your budget right now today, you can't afford a $600, $700 month payment on an insurance policy at this point in time, can you? No, we can't do that. I already knew that. I saw what their income was. Then I break it down to by months. It may be 12 month, it may be a 24-month plan, could be a 36-month plan. But I always tell them this, Mrs. Jones, this is just strictly a suggestion. When your lovely husband passes away, do not make any drastic decisions. That's why we're going to put this money here for you. This money is going to be here. You're going to call me up. We're going to help you get that money. We're going to get it back in your hand so you can buy time, because you're going to be in a mourning process. And during that mourning process, I don't recommend anybody making major decisions between 10 months and 12 months so they can clear their head, get out of that grieving process, so they can make a drastic decision, or no, not a drastic decision, but a more thought through process. Does that make sense? And so when I bring it across that way, they understand it. And then I'm able to get into a smaller budget. They're going to have to go to more of a whole life type product, buying time for at least maybe 24 months, enough to, and I said, listen, your house may sell real quick right now in this market, but next year that may change. This house may sit on the market a year, because you don't know when he's going to pass away, do you? No? And I know you don't want him to pass away. No? I'm like, okay, so we've got to think ahead. So our best solution is to get into a situation where we buy time so you can make a logical decision on how to sell this place. And I circle it real big. I circle her income. I circle the actual mortgage payment. I even put a projected amount of money down below her normal income that she's got coming in on what the projected amount that she would have. That way she can see it. She said, all right, this is a rough estimate of how much money or how much my income is per month. Now, it still doesn't add up. House insurance, utilities, possibly a car payment, anything like that, you've got to take in consideration. So you want to build that value into that and push for the fact. And when I brought it to this attention to a young lady, she said, you're absolutely right. I never even thought about it. I want to just pay the house off. But I cannot afford a $200, and this lady was only 59 years old, but her husband had some health issues. And I'm like, all right, so let's buy time, because you just now told me that you would not live here. And repeat back to them what they are saying. Always repeat back to them. If you repeat it back to them, then they can hear it. Sometimes they speak it, but they're not hearing what they're saying. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Be an active listener. Listen to every little detail that they are telling you. Even make yourself some notes, because it's very important. And the more you listen to them, the more they're going to sell themselves on the policy, because you're just going to repeat back to them what they want. Unless you get some that just says, I want it all or nothing. I guess you're getting nothing. And the problem is you're selfish and you're going to put your wife out in the street. You're going to lose $100,000 in the home. Well, that's what I want. I mean, I've had that. You can't, the old saying goes, I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. True?
True.
But did that make sense?
that helps a lot. So what do you do with the younger client who really, really does want his wife to be able to stay in the house? Maybe they have young kids, but he's really unhealthy. He's like 40 years old. He had cancer last year, or he had cancer 2 years ago. So maybe he can qualify for a whole life product, but he's definitely not qualifying for like some $200,000, $300,000 plan.
Well, the wife's going to have to probably continue to work, possibly, because you know and I know it all depends on what the health issue is. Depending on the cancer, we may have to get them into maybe an Aetna product, which we can go up to Aetna that young at $50,000. So it will help them buy more time. But I always ask them this question: are you dying now? Don't think so. Like, so all your cancer's gone, you're healthy now. We don't know this, but you're probably going to live a long time. And I've got to look at the fact that probably a fourth or even half the mortgage is going to be paid for. God forbid that you pass away anytime soon, but there are some things that you can do to take steps. Maybe we can put you into a good whole life product that helps buy you some time, or even helps pay it off. And when I bring it across that way, it puts it in better perspective for them to understand. Because they're not going to get a term, of course. They're already, he's had cancer in his history. That's not going to happen. So we've got to break it down for them and be truthful and be upfront. And I always ask them, do you mind if I be just factual to you and straightforward? Because I'm not going to blow smoke in here and try to paint you a pretty picture. We're dealing with death, and death is not pretty. But what I'm trying to do is help your spouse to live, and not going to focus on your death, but I want her to survive and those children's to really make it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's awesome. Thanks. I'm going to go write all that down. Thanks. Someone else's turn.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Who else? Anybody? Anybody? No? Everybody's got it figured out?
Oh man, well, we're done then.
Well, Darrell, we got plenty of time, so before we take just straight Q&A, Darrell's going to go over, he's consistently $30,000-$40,000 a month and up. And he's got this thing, he didn't start that way. So
No.
he's going to go over kind of how he started and what steps he took to get there, and kind of what it looks like now for him to be able to do that. And then after that, whenever he's done, he'll take as many questions as you want.
Yeah.
Time, so.
And Darrell, will you go over, like, that's sort of the place that I'm at now, will you go over, like, your expense progression and
Yeah.
what your leads cost and all of that too?
That's the easy part. Thought you had a hard question. Scared money don't make money, so you got to be willing to spend. That's the big thing. You are really, we can probably make some notations. How many of you are buying your own leads now? All right, perfect. So and I'm not here to embarrass anyone, but throw me some numbers of what kind of lead costs do you have? What do you have, Megan? I'm going to pick on you.
I'm spending consistently between $1,500 and $2,000 a week.
$1,500 to $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
All right, when did you come into the business?
I've been licensed since September, but I really started getting serious in February.
Okay. Make sure I do this right. So you said 1,500 to 2,000?
Yeah.
All right. So how long have you been spending this income a week?
Since March.
March of
Yeah.
this? Okay. So if you keep this pace and keep working on it, you're going to be at Hall of Fame status or close to it. So what kind of numbers are you doing monthly since you started this?
About 30.
You're doing about 30?
Yeah.
All right. So if you keep that pace and somebody can count, I mean, I don't know if you can add that up real quick, but you're going to be real close to a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Were you doing that prior to March?
No.
No.
Can you add something real quick? Like when you said 1,500, I want everybody to know, I don't want y'all to gloss over the fact that 1,500 a week is $6,000 or so a month. And if she issues 30, it's right at 20%. Like we talk about it all the time, you can't trick the system. Like she's literally, all she's doing is raising the front end to raise the back end.
That's literally all I did. And and I was able to book more appointments, and that's all it did. Was spending more just increased my activity.
It's just a numbers game.
Right.
That's all it is.
So as someone that's looking, I mean, and to be perfectly honest, writing 30 grand a month, at least for me personally, I cannot speak for everyone, it's not that difficult.
No.
So as someone who's doing, 40, I mean, I feel like I could do 15 a week. Does your expenses just increase the same?
My expenses increased because I've got an admin, I'm hiring more.
Gotcha.
I mean, all that comes with it.
Right.
Because I'm not looking presently, I'm looking at long term.
Right. Okay.
I don't know about you guys. Everybody I see here, I think I'm maybe the youngest one, no, the oldest one in the room. But anybody older than 50? Oh, you ain't older than 50. All right. But I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed that the older I get in doing this, my body wears down a little bit more. And so I want to get out of the field
Right.
and help build a team, help other guys just replicate of what we're doing. And we want to keep it simple. The more you complicate this, the worse it gets. Does that make sense? And so if you can stretch this to this end or above, you're going to be at 450 to 5. Last year I did 506. And I was averaging $2,000 to $2,500 a week in lead cost.
How much? Sorry, say that again.
About $2,000 to $2,500 a week
Okay.
in lead cost.
Okay.
But I did $506,000 total
Got it.
in issue paid volume.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything else was to build.
Right.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Will you, for the 5 or 6 that haven't even gotten in the field yet, help explain, like, this to them sitting there probably is like, I don't make that in a month right now, or I don't make that in a week, like, and y'all are talking about spending it. How do I get to that from no budget
Perfect.
or a little budget, if that's the kind of income I want?
Perfect.
Like, about to be my question,
Oh, sorry.
because, I'm not new to life insurance. I've been doing it, but it's like been off and on, and now I'm serious about taking it, 100%. I definitely don't have $1,500 to be spending on a lead.
Okay.
I just purchased some on Friday, and I spent, I want to say $200
Okay.
on it. That was everything that I had, minus the little bills that I had to remaining to pay off.
Okay.
How do I get from spending $200 to $1,500 to $2,500 a week in leads? Like,
Excellent
how?
question.
That was her, by the way.
Yes.
I didn't know how I was going to eat. I didn't know how I was going to pay rent. I took my last $200 and bought leads.
She literally was in your shoes 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Well, I need to talk to you every day. 'Cause baby,
I've had people,
I'm here.
I mean, and be true to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, be true to yourself. But when you take something like that, I've even had people to put a policy on themselves and take that money to go buy leads. So, and then you take that amount of money and just replicate and duplicate it every single week. Now, you leave out a little bit of money for your bills, but don't go on vacation. Don't buy anything extra. I mean, all of a sudden, the biggest problem with a lot of new agents, they've got $10,000 in their banking account and they've disappeared. They're gone. Have you had that?
I've actually did that. I had my first month a couple of years ago when I first started. I did 6,000, and I was like, "Oh crap! I got $6,000 in my bank account," and I just splurged on it. And then I was like, "Dog, I'm back down to the bottom." And
You got to start all over.
yeah, and those was contacting my family. You know, I didn't have to spend no money on it, and I still spent the money on it.
The biggest problem with a lot of new agents, they see money so fast that they don't know how to handle it. So you got to, number one, you got to treat this like a business.
Right.
Okay? You treat it like a business. The income, make sure you've got two separate accounts from your personal account and your business account. It's easy to get another checking account. You want to separate the self. Make sure you pay yourself to pay the bills. That has to be done. Then make sure you separate for lead cost. Then if you go travel, you've got gas, you've got little expenses like that you have to take care of. And then keep a small portion of that for taxes and things like that. So you want to start small, but you want to duplicate it. You want to take that $200 that you've got now, you can take $200, real small, aged leads if you have
That's what I
to.
got.
You're buying an aged lead. So you're going to have to buy more. So you're probably going to have to buy at $250, or excuse me, $2.50 a lead. You're probably going to have to buy almost 100 leads
Right.
to do what you need to do, because you've got more people. You're going to run into more disconnected phone numbers. You're going to run into bad addresses, but you just turn the page and keep on going. Just keep on going. Go to your next one. But it only takes one sale, because the average sale is what?
$1,000.
It's about $1,000. So you just turn $200 to $1,000. Immediately, you're just going to take a small portion of that out for your personal expenses, and immediately you're probably going to take, we'll say $500, if we can say that. So we're going to take $500, and all of a sudden that $500, we could probably be at $2,000. Now, we've got to start small. You do not want to go out and blow things, but that $2,000, I'm immediately going to take $1,000 out of that portion, and I'm going to put it in on all my leads, maybe a little bit more, and then I'm going to buy more leads. I'm going to go out. Next thing you know, that $2,000 is going to get you about $10,000 for the week.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If
Don't
you're-
spend the money,
Huh?
basically. Once I get,
You're recycling the same money every week. It's
That's-
not your money.
I realized
That was
that.
the best thing I ever did. That's the only reason I'm sitting here today, was because I did not spend anything I made. I paid my bills and that's it.
Yep. Make sure you eat and go to work. Don't do nothing else. Forget the beach, forget parties, forget all the other stuff. If we could get you to focus, I mean really hard, for 100 sits to get you going. Don't do nothing. Just buy leads, go run appointments. Buy leads, go run appointments. At the end of those 100 appointments, you're going to see dramatic change in your banking account. You will. But you cannot just throw it away. You have to reinvest, because who is the most important person in your business?
Me,
That's right.
I don't know anybody else.
That's right. So the biggest problem I've seen with new agents is they don't believe in themselves. You've got to, before I can believe in you, you got to believe in you.
Right,
Does that make sense?
right.
And actually, I do believe in you, because I've already been down this road and I've seen it happen. And if someone like me, and I'm not that smart, I've never been in insurance before, didn't know nothing about it. 3 years ago, it was the first time I came into this business and didn't know anything about it. You should have seen the roller coaster that I went through. I had $15,000 in chargebacks. Starting, that was July, that was January of the following year. I had to pay back that $15,000 plus still make a living. And I did it. Now I don't have $15,000 in chargebacks from myself, maybe from a few others. But you've got to believe in yourself and be confident. You can do this.
I know I can. I know I can book the appointments. I know when I go to the appointments, I can close out them appointments.
Okay.
It's just that rinse and recycle, repeat. I
Yep.
think that's what it's called. Yeah, that is that part, and that's the only part that
All right,
like really
go
struck
ahead.
at.
The easiest, like, the separate, do you have separate accounts for, you have to do that because, if you, I always use Chick-fil-A as an example. I know some people are probably laughing in the back of it. Would it be weird if the guy that owned Chick-fil-A sold sandwiches all weekend, paid his bills on Sunday night, and then all of his employees showed up on Monday, and they opened up, and they had none, and they were like telling people in the drive-thru, sorry, we're out of chicken, because he didn't buy any inventory. That's what we're doing as insurance agents when we do that, because we're the Chick-fil-A owner, and we're using the Chick-fil-A's money to go pay our bills. Like if you took this, if you made one sale, and you took, this is like a gradual path. If you want to go fast, and you said, okay, I made it with this much money for today, I can do it another week, and you made one sale and got this, what if you put that into leads and you had 1,000? That turned into 5, because that's what it will do.
Yep.
1K goes back into leads, 4K's in your business account. That goes 5K, 1K leads, 4K business account. Now you got 8. How long does it take before?
Well, let's say you have a crappy week where it doesn't, you spend one, you only make one.
This is
Look,
going to
you
be
got
the number
8.
over time. You do this long enough, you do this a few months, you're still doing the same amount of leads, and this has probably got 20, 30 grand in the bank. Obviously, you might want to crank it up a little bit if you got bigger goals, but this.
For every bad day that I've had, the next day was always doubled. I don't know how and I don't know why, it just happens. You have to run the appointments. You have to. So you say you're pretty good on the phones, right?
Yeah, I've been talking on the phone since 2008.
Okay, so how many appointments are you running right now?
I haven't started yet.
Oh, okay,
I mean, I literally just relocated up here from Florida,
got it.
and this is my first time coming in.
Who hired you?
Mike Taplin, we're on the Andre Group in DC.
Okay.
But like I've been with the company, I wrote policies with the company. I just stopped because I lost my self-motivation. That's being honest with you. I lost my own motivation. But now I told myself, hey, I'm moving to.
She has it.
You want it?
No,
No,
she was asking if you had it.
She, turn it around so you can see the black part.
Oh, this is a mic.
That's a mic.
Oh God.
She thought you were supposed to hold the toilet.
Yeah, I was over here crashing it. Oh wow. Oh man. Oh wow. I don't forgot what I said. Well yeah, I literally moved up here. I said, I want to start fresh in a fresh area, and really push myself to become the person that I know I can with the business. So this is why I came out here. Didn't know that I was gonna have a training today. This was like pretty awesome, dope, and this is why I'm at. I'm literally starting all over. I'm trying to erase everything that I have learned in the past. Keeping some things that I do know that is pertinent and do help me out, but like I'm so trying to.
You live here?
Yes. I am in Cobb County.
Okay.
Well,
I think
Smyrna.
you'd be really good at this. Like, there's a lot of people who have a ton of questions, but you're putting yourself out there, and you can tell you want to be better. And
Yeah.
this office has June, Leticia, Dawn, Carissa, Megan, Amy Michelson. There's like 6 or 7 women just in this office that write, and I'm
They're top producers.
that write 30, 40, 50, 60 grand a month. I would be all over them every week.
That's what I'm trying to, I don't want to say I'm trying to get 30,000, because I want to make more than 30,000 in a month, but, you know.
We're here every Monday and Thursday.
Now, and I don't say this disrespectful for those that are really working hard, but if someone's coming up to you, giving you advice, and they're only doing $10,000 a month, say, listen, I appreciate it. Go talk to Chris, or did I say that right? Carissa, that's what it was. She's doing 30,000 plus, right? Or-
Yes.
Huh?
1 month I did.
One, so you're 20 plus.
Trying to get there consistently.
All right, so, I mean, all these other wonderful ladies are doing that 20, 30,000. You got Megan over here is doing average 15,000 a week, right? On average? Sure. She likes that. But get with them and listen to what they're doing. It's-
I was told that, you know, if you want to be in a higher bracket, then hang around folks and talk to folks
That's right.
that's in a higher bracket. So,
That woman
June, right beside you, she's
Miss June,
phenomenal.
I'm about to bug you, sugar. I'm about to bug both of
I
y'all.
learned to be on the phones from June. I sat there in the dial center over there.
Miss June is really good. She's real good,
Notated.
real good.
About to get
So
you done.
just, first of all, I want you to believe in yourself. And then just take your leads and just keep buying leads every week. If you don't need it, you say, well, I got plenty of leads. No, buy leads. And still take the leads that you've got, the ones you have not been able to get in touch with, still try to call them. I mean, recycle those leads, keep recycling, even to the point of going and door knocking them. I've done a $4,000 and $5,000 off of a door knock that I couldn't get in touch with them. It works. So if you know of an area that you're going to be in, take those leads with you that you could not get in touch with. And then if you get a porched or a no-show or a cancellation, you've got time to go and door knock somebody else in that area off the leads that you have. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all so much. Y'all made me nervous a little bit. I'm sweating over here. Pass that back.
You're good.
Were you about to ask something?
No.
Oh.
She just wanted to pass it, yeah.
She wanted to get it off her hands real quick. So that's the big thing. You've just got to stay active, stay humble. And one of the important things I want you to do is when you're setting the appointments up, try to push for 15 appointments for 2 days. Really push for that. That's important. You want to try to do 30 appointments a week. That's your goal. If you can get more, that's great. If you can't, that's fine. I know everybody's a little bit different when it comes to that. I'll be honest with you, I've done 15 appointments for 1 week, and I've probably still done $15,000 in a week, but that's few far in between. But it can happen. But because the more numbers you've got, and if you can just think, the more appointments that you make, the more possibilities of closing a sale you're going to have. And don't let, if you're going 3 appointments and all of them said no, or 4 appointments and no show, or 5 appointments and you got 7, I've been there. And I've called my wife up, I'm like, it's not looking good today, babe. He said, well, she'll tell me, go to the next one, it'll be better. And I mean, lo and behold, I did $3,000. Or then I go to the last one and I'll do another $2,000. Here I've had no's all day long except for the last 2 and still end up with a $5,000 day. That, you can't quit.
I stopped it 'cause I had a time like that. It was on the weekend. Shut up, girl. Okay, so I had a weekend where I had booked almost 15, it was like 14 appointments. And the Saturday, shot. All 7 appointments, no shows or no luck closing. Sunday, I got down to, I think, my last 2, and I wrote 1, And the other one just was like, you know what, she just kept giving me rebuttals and rebuttals and rebuttals, and I was just like, you know what, forget it, you don't want it, I can't help you. And like that weekend was like, to me it was my high because I have never booked that many appointments in a weekend or in a week or whatsoever. And then to go to them and only really sit one, it was just like a crusher on me. And I was just like, man, maybe this is not for me. And I don't know, that's where I got stuck at, and that's why I just fell off it.
Yeah, just focus on activity and not results as much, because that will kill you. And don't ever, the only people that lose are the ones that quit. But if you'll just give it a large sample size and you'll put it in, the results follow the activity. Anybody, I mean, Megan, are you quitting after this weekend? No. 14 appointments, no sales?
None.
Okay.
June, are you quitting?
I drove
No.
I drove about 500 miles this weekend.
But
drove
it's-
about 500 miles this weekend. I wrote not a single thing.
And what was going on the whole time driving back? Like, were you pissed?
Yeah,
You just drove.
yeah. That's why I work more leads. It's not, I can't, and those weeks that I do amazing, also not a big deal. I can't, you can't.
Okay, so it's all mental.
You got to keep everything level. I mean, in this business, if you ain't careful, your mind will take control, and you'll have your highs, your lows. You've got to stay consistent. You know what I'm talking about? What's your name, sir?
Richie.
Richie? Yeah. All right, have you had that?
Oh, yeah.
Your highs and lows?
He's in it right now.
Oh, yeah.
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 You've got to be consistent. And listen, I'm guilty. If you don't believe me, ask my wife. She's back here in the back. I mean, I used to get depressed, and I'd call her up and say, hey, I'm having a bad day. Just go to the next one. I mean, okay. So, but you've got to stay leveled out. When you do those $10,000 deals, okay, we'll put it back in, reinvest it. Those $1,000 deals, okay, not a problem. We'll go back in and reinvest it. And before you know it, you're going to look back to your banking account and you've got 10, 20, 30 plus $1,000 in there.
Okay, just stick to the process.
Stick to the process.
All right, I'm passing it back one more time, and I'm freer this time. Here you go.
Did that answer your question about the lead, your leads, Megan? Okay, all right. So what was the other question that you wanted me to go over?
I think your path, like from where you started to where you are now, what does it look like now, issuing 40,000 a month? What do you do? Like, what does your schedule look like? What does your lead flow look like? How did you get to where you are now? Just go through kind of
Okay.
what it takes a little bit, I guess.
When I first got started, I was broke, real broke. I mean, we owed a lot of people, and so been in sales, working 70 hours a week with Verizon, and so sold cell phones, and then of course, make a long story short, got in the business. The first month I started out part-time, and I was doing about $1,000 per, I would dial one day, go work one day, and I was doing that after work. And so I wasn't that good. I was terrible on the phone. I still am not that good on the phone. I can honestly say I sucked, and I'm still not that good. But you've just got to keep working it. But I mean, I would go from 20,000, work my way up to 30,000. I did have a meeting the year after that with Mike Sizer. We did a podcast with him up in Connecticut, and he said, if you'll keep going and doing what you're doing, you're going to have a $40,000 month. Well, probably the July of 2019, I did my first $40,000. And so that was right at a year into the business. The problem was I don't think I was believing in myself that I could do it. I wasn't working enough. I wasn't putting out enough appointments, wasn't buying enough leads. And then I started realizing the more leads I purchased, the more appointments I had, and the more business I wrote. And so it was all numbers. So once I got into that point, I started doing very well. And of course, I could backtrack and tell you my negative. I had $15,000 in roll-up debt, because, or not roll-up debt, but I did it myself because I was always trying to push for the highest premium. And in this business, you don't do that, because I was thinking about myself instead of the client. I wasn't serving the client that I needed to. If you'll serve your client, think about your client, listen, actively listen to them, the money will come. Don't think about yourself in this, because you're dealing with people's lives. When you're dealing with their lives, I mean, you need to be honest with them. And there's a lot of other agencies and IMOs out there that I've literally seen lie to clients to try to get something for themselves. But be truthful, be upfront with them, and you can and serve them, and the money will come. And so you're going to have high and lows. You're going to have chargebacks. Your average chargeback, you're going to be around the 20% range of your business. So you got to take that in consideration when you're writing business. But when I'm in with the home and speaking with a client, if I see that their budget is not right, I will show them that high number, but I will exit out and say, dear, you can't afford this, and I'm not going to sell this to you. And I've done that. And I said, let's get you into something a little less on the premium, but at least helps you get covered. And when a lot of times you see that, they give out a sigh of relief. If you start watching their body language, like, phew, because she was going to tell me, I could see it. I could keep pushing, and I could get her into the most expensive one. But who am I hurting? I'm hurting myself, and I'm hurting my client. And so that's not right. So you want to make sure you take care of your client the best of your ability, get them into the right premium that will fit their budget. All right. Now, don't let some of them talk you to the point and say, well, I can't afford this, and they're making $7,000 a month, and it's a $50 a month premium. I mean, Megan, you've had that?
Yeah, in the beginning. But let me see the box.
Oh, right there.
I know I'm gonna get yelled at if I don't get it. I'm looking out for you. All right, so in the beginning, I didn't know anything, and it doesn't, you could watch however many videos, you could sit through as many trainings, you just have to go and do it. You gotta go and you gotta make a whole bunch of mistakes, and I still, to this day, do, but I learn something new every time. It's not that big of a deal, and the most important thing I do is, I just got a call from a client that I had written when I first started, and his mom had just passed away, the one I wrote, and he said, you were the first person that I called. And he did not want to, he did, when I tell you this man did not want a policy for his mom, he did not. And he ended up calling me, and I wrote the rest of his family. Like, you are the first person that these people are going to call.
Yep. I always tell my clients, I said, listen, I'm your agent for the rest of your life.
Right. I think I learned that from you. I say until one of us leaves this earth, we are stuck together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I want to make sure that the client's taken care of, that they do have confidence in calling us.
Yeah.
And I am getting referrals off of it too because of that. Because we're honest, we're upfront. I had a client just this past week over in Middle Tennessee who canceled a policy, and it was a America policy, last November. They filled out another form. I went back out and saw them, and I saw the wife, and I said, I've been out here before. And she said, yeah, you sold us the first policy, but we canceled it because it was a graded policy. I said, no, ma'am, it wasn't. They had another agent came in and said America was a graded policy, and they canceled it because the other agent told them that. Well, they put them in a graded policy that cost them $60 more off of that. And then the wife told the husband, said, listen, we got to stop this. But they went through 2 other companies before it got back to me, and both of them were graded policies. I went back in, saved them $60 a month, got them back into a level plan with Americo because it had been 6 months. And because he had a birthday, it had only gone up $13. But I looked at him, I said, listen, if you cancel this policy, I'm gonna come back out and wring your neck. And I said it just like that. Because, I mean, listen, are y'all sick and tired of paying more money? Yes. I'm like, all right, stop it then. Don't look at no more, don't listen to nobody else, you contact me only. They said, you're right, Mr. Broadway, we'll do that. And so we got them back into Americo policy. They're both happy, it's immediate coverage. They love the fact that it does double of an accident. And he's 71 years old, you got a few little problems. I mean, he don't have a lot of time to play around with policies when you're 71. True?
Yeah.
Who's afraid to push inside the home? I mean, and you can be honest. I'm afraid to hurt their feelings. They could be dead tomorrow. Don't be afraid to be upfront and honest with them. I mean, say, listen, you may not be here tomorrow. And I went out to a guy's house the other day and talked with him, and he was just really belligerent. He said, well, I want one of those military plans. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that meant, but I was going to go out there anyway. So I went out there and I quoted my price. I've got that much money in the bank. I don't need nothing. I'm like, why did you set the appointment with me? I mean, little things like that, but I kept pushing, and he wouldn't do anything. So probably within 15 minutes after I tried to push, he wasn't budging. I left because I got too many other people I need to help. And there's some people you can't help. They don't want to be helped. So, but don't be afraid to be frank, upfront, and honest, especially the ones that smokes. I break it down like this. So how many packs of cigarettes do you smoke a day? And I said, maybe 2. So how much are you paying per pack? Probably about $12. I'm like, you take that, multiply it by 30, and try to figure out how much you're spending in cigarettes. It's opened up a lot of people's eyes. Say, listen, I've got this plan with Americo that I can get you and rate you as a non-smoker. Really, for right at 4 years, you need to be nicotine free that last 4th year, but I could save you a lot of money. But if you don't stop, you could get COPD, be on oxygen, could be on your deathbed. And I talk to them that way. I'm like, listen, you're headed down to this road. So you got to know when to push, when not to push, but be nice to them. You want to be friendly. Yes, ma'am.
Do you ever ask them, do you plan to quit smoking?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too, because if they have no intention whatsoever, I mean, I'll say we can do this product, it's gonna save you 3 years as a non-smoker, or we could look at, taking fall out from usual because it's gonna be cheaper to smoke.
Sure.
Because either way, you're gonna have to, and you gotta explain it or else you'll cancel the policy.
True.
You gotta say, hey, you have the option here to keep this coverage, and you're gonna pay a lot higher price, or you can drop this coverage and have the same.
I didn't buy it on the same.
True.
Like,
Oh.
stop running your mouth, Megan. You want me to repeat what I said? I guess. Okay, I was just talking about the Eagle policy, how you've got to explain it to your clients when you're doing that plan and say, at year 4, you have this option to keep this coverage at, if you keep it at this level, it's going to be a higher price. If you want to stay in the same price range, we can do that, but it's going to drop your face amount down. And just make sure they're understanding and clear of that, because if you have another agent come in and try to confuse them after the fact, you've already explained everything fully, and they understand what they have.
Absolutely. That's perfect. So as we all deal with this, especially new agents. Be prepared. You're going to face these situations. Getting back to what we were talking about, 2020, probably 2019, I did 380, a little over 300 and some $1,000. I'm not quite sure. Then, of course, my Hall of Fame year was 2020. A lot of things have changed then. I started really figuring it out. More appointments, more leads means more revenue. That's very simple, isn't it? More leads, more appointments, more revenue. And then that's when we just started doing. Also within, and I don't recommend this to anybody, so you got to be careful. But Andrew Taylor told me this one time before, don't hire $1 unless you have hit Hall of Fame yourself. But I've got $1. That $1's for me, right? I'm paying them a percentage of what I do. So I can do other things, help my agents, help you guys, whatever we need to do, we try to do those things. But I don't recommend that to everybody. But that's something that has helped me out and try to do. Am I going to hit Hall of Fame this year? Yes, I will. I'm going to hit it. There's no questions asked. I'm a little bit behind, but not much. Not enough to worry about. But you've just got to be persistent in everything you do. Everything you do. And so those that on the in-home, does everybody use your client worksheet? Use that like it's the Bible. I mean, you want to follow it. It's very, I think the one that I use, Linda Lampasso, is the one who created it. She's a wonderful young lady. She did a very good job, and I just follow it step by step. But I'm not afraid to use the front, the back. I write notes everywhere so the client can understand what's going on. And getting back to the point of speaking, trying to build that value with the client, I circle things. I emphasize, I point. It's like, this doesn't match. You've got to do this. I mean, you've got to, biggest thing with people, they need to hear it and they need to see it. And if you can get them to hear it, so as you're writing it, you're going to be speaking it. So it's like the living benefit riders, like the critical, the chronic, the terminal illness. I write all that down. I turn the page over, I write it all down. And there's some people that has fill out forms that's already got it there in place. That's fine, nothing wrong with it. But I write it out because it becomes more personal to them, for them to see. And I emphasize on that. If they say, well, I'm in a big hurry, great, tell me your medical history. And they'll tell me a quick, perfect, I can get you an Americo. How much is it going to be? Flip it up. Told them. Within 30 minutes or less, we've got a sale done. I've done that before on a final expense. Mortgage protection takes a little bit longer, is what I have found out. I like it when I'm in that home, especially in a mortgage protection. I see children around, or I see another family member. I'm not ashamed to ask, do you have insurance? While I'm writing up this guy here, do you have insurance? Or do you have insurance? Hey, you know, I've got a great children's policy. We're trying to add those things on to protect the family. That's why a lot of times I'll do 2 and 3 applications inside one home. So don't be afraid to add those.
Mostly you've answered any questions I've had, but how do we go about getting started once we've no, I just got licensed and all that. I'm still taking my boot camp, but how do we get started? Now, you know, we come in here every Monday and Thursday do our training, but how do we get started?
Okay, so the best thing, now after you get contracted, right?
Yeah.
You've already spoken with your manager and they're working on getting you contracted now. Is that correct?
I signed up I did 4 different contracting things, did the money laundering test and all that, and I heard anything back.
So you're waiting to hear back from the carrier on your approval or your being appointed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So once you, now as soon as we get one of our agents, at least with one carrier, which is usually Prosperity or Americo first, we're getting them out in the field as soon as possible. They're not going to be able to ride every one of them or anything like that, but we're getting them out in the field. The next step is we want you, during this waiting period, you need to be watching videos, coming in, listening to other people, be on the phones.
Okay.
Do that. Look on YouTube of in-home presentation. That's very important. While make sure you are really really checked into every little bitty training video that you can do right now while you're waiting.
So everything I'm gonna watch is gonna help me learn while I wait.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. You need to be training. You need to be here at the office constantly listening to other people dial, listen, because the more people you hang around that's doing the exact same thing, it's going to, all of a sudden, it's going to become part of your vocabulary. It's going to get to the point that you will understand it. And then when you go out there, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're going to be scared to death your first appointment.
Yeah.
Because I was. I mean, I believe all of us could say that we were scared to death. And guess what? And I'm not being mean. You're going to suck. All right? I did. All of us do. But we've got to fight through that, learn from our mistakes, and really work hard to get better every time we go into a client's home. And then make sure you get on the CRM. When you do get that, buy some CRM leads. If you want to do some aged, if you want to do instant internet leads, new internet leads. I've got a guy up in Nashville that's buying a bunch of 1 month old new internet leads, and he's doing very good on them. And so they're there. I mean, it's the only company that I know of that's got resources in place for us to get leads as soon as you become licensed. I know we hired a guy that one time he was trying to wait 6 weeks before he could get leads. After he's already licensed and after he's already been appointed with certain carriers. And so he's waiting for leads to come in. I'm like, I don't know about y'all, but I'd quit if I had to wait 6 weeks to get leads. But I don't know of any other company that you can get immediate leads out of our CRM same day that you get appointed. Do you know of anybody else? And so once you get those.
You can get as many as you want anywhere at any time pretty much at this point.
That's right. That's right. Does that help you out?
Yes.
Perfect. You'll do good. Just be confident and go at it.
Thank you.
Let me add, like, when you're getting started though, anybody new, please communicate with your upline. Some people, because
Sorry.
you're going to you're going to feel like a lot of times you're going to feel like you're bothering them, and you're also going to be like you're going to have this fear of asking for help, and they don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? And nothing's going to bother them more than somebody who they've went through the whole process of getting licensed, getting contracted, doing all this, and then no action takes place because they can't get leads, or they don't know how to buy leads, or they don't have money for leads, or whatever the case may be. If there's a problem, get some help so we can find a solution for it versus just sitting at home and going, what's going on? You ready to start Monday? I don't have leads. And then, but we don't find out for the 3rd week. You know what I mean? We got to figure something out. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're just a guy who got his license who's going to have to get a job in a couple weeks. Agree?
Agree. Very much so.
And I see it all the time. They go through the whole process just to get started and then never dial because either, for whatever reason, they either don't want to dial or they never bought leads.
True.
This is leads based. Otherwise, you're going to be cold calling and asking your friends and family to buy insurance.
I mean, you could probably go to another company that buys your own leads, but you're at a 50% or less in your commission. I don't know about you, but I like the higher comp myself. Make more money. Guys, the biggest thing to this is put your head down, go to work, buy leads, dial those leads, set the appointments, and go to work. Your goal needs to be 30 appointments a week, if all possible. Do your very best to try to do that and work. Listen, this can be a roller coaster ride, especially at the very beginning, but try to say, I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to keep going, and it'll work out. You're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have some bad days. You may even have bad weeks, as we've seen here. but I promise you, you'll never have a bad month. Never have a bad month. But you just got to be consistent and go to work. And as John Wetmore said the other day, I believe he did it on a TikTok, and I shared it. If once you figure this business out and understand everything, and you run enough appointments, you're going to have money just falling out of the sky. I mean, I love that statement he made. But it's so, what he said is so true. Just go to work.
Anything else? New people. We do this every Monday. If y'all don't know, 1:30 on Mondays. We have somebody different every Monday on different topics. Oh, you know, typically we can take some questions at the end, but there'll be something different every Monday, so it's not always the same. Madison, you know who's training Monday? Okay. But I would the more you can make this structured and routine, the easier it's going to be. The more you treat this like a job, the easier it's going to be, even though it's a business. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you treat it like a hobby and you're in and out, sometimes I'll run appointments, sometimes I don't. I'll make training when it's convenient. Sometimes I got stuff to do. I got to get my oil changed. The more you treat this like this is just something you have to be at, you know, that's how you're going to get good quick and stay good. Everybody good? Cool. All right.
All right. Good deal.
Y'all have a
Thank
good
you.
week.